Hey there, friends. It's your old pal Jack Thompson here, coming at you from my little slice of heaven out in the Ohio countryside. Pull up a chair, because I'm going to tell you a story that's got it all: heart, hurt, and a heapin' helping of sweet revenge. This all started back when I hit 65 and decided it was time to hang up my tools after 40 years wrenching on cars in Cleveland. My wife, Mary, God rest her soul, passed a couple years prior, and I was feeling that empty nest, something fierce. So I scraped together my savings and bought this 50-acre farm out near Mansfield. Nothing fancy, just rolling fields, a big red barn, a pond for fishing, and a cozy farmhouse with a wraparound porch perfect for sipping lemonade at sunset. I pictured my days filled with quiet, tending a vegetable garden, fixing up old tractors, maybe raising a few chickens. No more city noise, no deadlines, just me and the crickets chirping at night. It was my retirement dream, a place to heal and remember Mary in peace. I'd invite the grandkids over now and then, but mostly it was going to be solitary bliss. Then, about a month after I moved in, my son Bob calls. Bob's my only kid, 42 now, living in Chicago with his wife Karen and their two teenagers, Emily and Jake. He's a hotshot marketing exec, always on the go, barely visits since Mary died. "Dad," he says, all excited, "that farm sounds awesome. We're coming down for a weekend getaway. Me, Karen, the kids. Oh, and a few friends. It'll be great." "A few friends?" I chuckled at first, thinking maybe 4 or 5 folks. But nope. Bob drops the bomb. He's planning a big old reunion bash. Think barbecues, bonfires, the works. I've got 20 people lined up. My work buddies, Karen's family, even some neighbors. We'll camp out, roast marshmallows, make memories. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a visit. It was an invasion. I bought the farm for tranquility, not to host a frat party. But Bob steamrolled right over my hesitations. "Come on, Dad, it'll be fun." "You need company anyway." I bit my tongue, remembering how distant he'd been lately. Missed birthdays, short calls. Part of me wanted family time. But this, it felt like he saw my haven as his free vacation spot. Little did he know, that lit a fire in me. I started plotting a surprise that'd teach him a lesson about respect and boundaries. Stay tuned, folks. It gets juicy. All right, y'all. Jack Thompson, back with part 2 of this wild tale. So after Bob's call, I tried talking sense into him. "Son, this farm ain't set up for a crowd," I said. "The septic's old, water well's finicky, and I got my routines." But Bob laughed it off. "Dad, relax. We'll bring tents, portable potties, the whole shebang. It's just one weekend. Think of the grandkids having fun." The grandkids, Emily 16, all into her phone, and Jake, 14, video game obsessed. I missed him, sure, but Bob was using that as leverage. Truth is, he'd been pulling away since Mary passed. She'd been the glue holding us together, always planning holidays, nagging him to call. Without her, our talks were surface level. Weather, sports, his job promotions. He never asked how I was coping, just assumed I was fine. As the weeks ticked by, Bob's texts ramped up the guest list. "Hey Dad," adding my boss and his wife. Great networking. Then, Karen's sisters bringing her 3 kids. Before I knew it, it was pushing 30 people. They were planning ATVs on my fields, a DJ in the barn, even fireworks over the pond. My peaceful retreat turned into Coachella on a budget. I felt betrayed, like my retirement was just backdrop for his ego. That's when the revenge bug bit me hard. Sitting on that porch one evening, watching fireflies. I remembered how Mary and I dreamed of this life. She'd have hated the chaos. So I hatched a plan. Nothing mean-spirited, but clever enough to make him think twice. First, I called my old buddy Hank from the auto shop. He's a tinkerer, loves gadgets. Hank, I said, help me rig some surprises around the farm. We set up hidden speakers in the woods for eerie sounds, motion sensor lights that'd flicker like ghosts, and even a fake quicksand pit near the pond. Just mud with signs warning of dangers. But it wasn't all pranks. I dug out old family albums, letters from Mary, even her recipe book. The real surprise? I'd weave in emotional hits, reminding Bob of what family truly means. I hired a local actress, Sue, to play a mysterious visitor who'd drop hints about the farm's haunted past, tied to our real family history. The crowd would arrive expecting a party, but get a mix of scares and soul-searching. I grinned to myself, imagining their faces. Bob wanted a crowd, fine, but I'd control the show. Hang tight for part 3, where the invasion begins. Howdy again, folks. Jack Thompson here, diving into part 3. The big weekend rolled around faster than a tumbleweed in a windstorm. I'd spent days prepping. Hank and I tested the gadgets. Sue rehearsed her lines, and I stashed those family mementos in the barn. My heart was pounding, a mix of nerves and excitement. This wasn't just revenge. It was my way of forcing some real connection after years of drifting apart. Friday evening, the first cars pulled up my gravel drive. Bob's SUV led the pack, honking like they owned the place. Out spilled him, Karen, Emily, Jake, and a trail of strangers, laughing, hauling coolers, setting up tents willy-nilly on my lawn. "Dad," Bob hollered, slapping my back. "This place is perfect." "Thanks for hosting." He didn't notice my forced smile, or how the crowd had ballooned to 35 souls, including kids running rampant and dogs barking up a storm. By nightfall, it was bedlam. Music blared from portable speakers. Folks grilled burgers like it was the 4th of July. And someone even started a volleyball game in my garden patch, trampling my tomatoes. Emily barely looked up from her phone. Jake whined about no Wi-Fi. And Bob was schmoozing his boss by the bonfire, ignoring me altogether. Karen tried chit-chat, but it was all surface. "The farm's so quaint, Jack." Quaint? This was my sanctuary, and they were treating it like a cheap Airbnb. As the sun dipped, I flipped the switch on phase 1. Hidden speakers in the trees started whispering. Soft moans, like wind but eerie. A few guests chuckled, thinking it was the playlist glitching. Then, motion lights flickered, casting shadows that looked like figures darting between barns. "What the heck?" someone yelped. Bob laughed it off. "Old farm quirks, right, Dad?" I nodded, plain dumb. But inside, I was building to the emotional gut punch. That night, around the fire, Sue showed up, dressed in vintage clothes, acting like a long-lost relative. "I'm kin to the original owners," she said mysteriously. "This land holds secrets and spirits." The crowd ate it up as campfire fun, but I saw Bob shift uncomfortably. Little did they know, the real haunts were coming, tied to our family's past pains. By morning, the pranks would escalate, forcing folks to scatter or stay for the truth. The revenge was brewing, but so was the healing. Stick around for part 4, where the surprises hit hard. Welcome back, y'all. It's Jack Thompson with part 4, where things really heat up. Saturday dawned bright, but the crowd was already feeling the farm's quirks. Overnight, I triggered more gadgets. Fake fog rolling from the pond, recorded howls that spooked the dogs, and that quicksand pit claiming a few muddy shoes. Laughter turned to grumbles as tents got damp and folks realized there ain't no Starbucks nearby. Bob tried rallying them with pancakes, but I steered the day my way. How about a farm tour? I suggested innocently. They piled into hay wagons, another Hank special, and we rumbled through the fields. That's when Sue reappeared, weaving her tail. This farm belonged to a couple like Jack and Mary. Devoted, but tragedy struck. She passed around old photos, real ones of me and Mary, smiling in our youth. The crowd quieted, sensing it wasn't just spooky fun. As we hit the barn, the real surprise kicked in. I'd rigged projectors to flash ghostly images, but they were family videos. Mary laughing at holidays, Bob as a kid riding his first bike, us all together before life pulled us apart. Speakers played her voice from old tapes. Family's everything, but you gotta nurture it. Folks gasped, some teared up. Bob went pale, realizing this was personal. Then came the revenge twist. "You see," I announced, voice steady, "this ain't just a party spot. I bought it to honor Mary, not for y'all to trash. Bob, you invited this crowd without asking if I was okay. After years of barely checking in." I revealed the clincher. I donated part of the land to a local charity for a community garden, effective immediately. Signs were up, fencing off sections. "Your bash, it's now a volunteer day. Grab shovels. We're planting in Mary's memory." Chaos erupted. Bob's boss balked at dirtying his hands. Friends muttered about leaving. Karen looked mortified. But the grandkids? Emily put down her phone. Jake asked about Grandma. As the crowd thinned, some packing up in huff, Bob pulled me aside, eyes wet. "Dad, I didn't realize. I'm sorry." We hugged, first real one in years. The prank scared off the extras, but the emotions stuck. Revenge served, but with love. One part left, folks. The sweet resolution. Hey friends, Jack Thompson, wrapping up this story in part 5. By Saturday evening, the farm looked different. Half the crowd had hightailed it after the haunts and mandatory garden work. Bob's boss muttering about crazy old coot as he drove off. But the core stayed: Bob, Karen, the kids, and a few true friends who rolled up sleeves and planted seeds in that new community plot. As the sun set, we gathered on the porch. No blaring music, just quiet talk. I shared more about Mary, her apple pie recipe, how she'd nag Bob to visit more. Emily, teary-eyed, said, "Grandpa, I wish I'd known her better." Jake admitted, "This farm stuff's kinda cool, better than games." Bob opened up too. "Dad, work consumed me. I took you for granted, turning your place into my escape without thinking." We cried, laughed, forgave. The revenge. It wasn't about hurting, it was waking him up. Sunday morning, the remaining folks helped clean up. No complaints. Bob promised regular visits, just family, no crowds. "And Dad," he said, "keep the farm yours. That donation, make it a family legacy instead." Turns out I'd only announced the donation as part of the surprise. Papers weren't final. We amended it to a shared trust, ensuring the land stayed in the family, but with respect for my peace. Hank and Sue got a kick out of it. We shared beers later, toasting the plan's success. The scares were fun, but the real magic was the emotions. Bridging that gap Mary's passing had widened. Now, the farm's busier in good ways. Grandkids come for weekends, helping with chores, learning stories. Bob calls weekly, not just chit-chat, But real talks. Karen even started a scrapbook with those old photos. Looking back, buying this farm saved more than my retirement. It saved our family. If you're out there dealing with distant kin, remember, sometimes a little surprise shakes things loose. Revenge can be sweet when mixed with love. Thanks for listening, folks. If this touched you, like, share, and tell me your stories in the comments. Till next time, stay true to your dreams and your boundaries. God bless.